I was asked to speak a little about how to listen to music. It's very difficult to do because music means different things to different people. It means different things to the same people at different times. You can either use music to forget, or you can use music for your growth. To forget means you come home after a particularly difficult day with many problems, with the tax inspector and the dentist and all sorts of unpleasant things like this. And you put on a CD and you get a piece of music that you find particularly lovely, and you forget about all your troubles. And there's nothing wrong with that. But I think music is a lot more than that. And I don't think that the great composers, I don't think that they wrote music for us just simply to use to forget unpleasant things. Music can give us enjoyment. Even when the music is about suffering, we enjoy it. And therefore, it is, I think, very important when one listens to music to be completely focused. But you have to have the will to attach yourself to the music with your ears, and then you will fly with it. And it doesn't matter. You really do, believe me, you really do need complete and total concentration, which is nothing more than giving of yourself. And the more you give, the more you will get back.
A long time ago, in one of my many phases, I studied to be an orchestral bass player. And I managed to get myself into the Civic Orchestra of Chicago, which, well, people call it the training orchestra for the Chicago Symphony, even though it isn't really. Very few people actually graduate from Civic to the CSO. But it's still a good experience. For a student orchestra, the level is pretty high, and you get to work with a lot of big-time conductors. In the 4 years that I played with them, we had Pierre Boulez, Christoph Eschenbach, Pinchas Zuckerman, and George Solti. Fun fact, I was actually in the orchestra the last time Solti conducted Civic, and I was also in the audience for his last concert in Chicago. Tristan and Isolde, of all things, oratorio style. 4 hours, man, him slashing away with that long-ass baton of his. Energetic as ever, at the age of 82, God bless. But, so, that's where I first encountered Daniel Barenboim in Civic. He was CSO's conductor at the time, and doing a concert with Civic once or twice a year was part of the deal. I didn't even know at the time what a great pianist he is. He was just CSO's principal conductor to me. Well, anyway, that is my friend Pam and I, we just loved it when Barenboim came. Mostly because he has this very unique, sort of unplaceable accent that we like to make fun of. That along with his Himalayan ego and an infinite capacity to humiliate people, well, it was always just a hoot. I'll never forget this poor bassoonist. I can't remember which piece it was exactly, but there was this really exposed, quiet moment where she was supposed to come in ever so delicately on a high D. And of course, she cracked it. He stopped the rehearsal and asked her to do it again. Crack. Again. Blat. Finally, he just put down his baton and stared at her with those droopy eyelids. We have to do it until it's correct, my dear. What is the matter with your D? Poor thing never did get it. And eventually, he gave up and moved on, and her soul was forever crushed, basically. I think this is the problem with pianists who become conductors. They move from a world where they have absolute control over how things get played, and into a world where they actually have very little control. And it turns them into magnificent assholes. From just you and your 10 little Vienna sausage fingers to 50, 60, 70 arrogant, cantankerous cats to herd. The stage full of outsized egos who have their own opinions on how things should be played, and whose default stance toward most conductors is begrudging, if not outright hateful. Anyway, the thing with the bassoonist, I mean, that was awful to behold, but most of the time he was just funny to us. Unintentionally, of course. He doesn't come across as someone who has much of a sense of humor. It was mostly the accent. Years after we moved on from Civic, Pam and I could spend hours improvising on words that Barenboim would surely struggle to pronounce. Any word with an uncomfortable number of L's and R's were good candidates, if I remember correctly. Hi, Puta.
Well, hello, Puto.
I thought I'd call you because I'm thinking about Daniel Barenboim.
Daniel Barenboim. Really?
I plucked out all of the good faces from his Barenboim on Beethoven series. And
does he do stuff where he just blankly stares and you don't know what the hell he's thinking or doing, like when he used to conduct us?
That's the one face that I love the most.
Yes,
is the one where he's staring off into the void and his eyes kind of cross.
Yes, I remember that, because then he would ask us, why don't you play? It's like, dude, you're not moving, you're not gesturing, we're confused, we don't know if you're dead. Do you remember that?
Yeah, because he would just put his hands down to his side and stare off into the middle distance.
Yeah, and 40 string players didn't know when to come in. The eighth note that was as long as a dotted hole note. Yeah, that was awesome.
That's right.
Why don't you play?
You have to play the note until you are finished with the note.
Really?
And then the words that he couldn't say.
Oh God, yeah. Well, I remember, really, listen, your voice, it has a lung. And we all were like, what the hell? Really? Yes. So rural, not urban.
Okay, revolution. Revolution.
I like the Beatles. Revolution. Number 9.
Uprising.
Conflict.
Uvula.
Oh, that's a good one.
The piece of tissue at the back of your Oh God, I'm crying.
We have to think of like cities that he could say, like Walla Washington.
Oh God, that wouldn't work at all.
No, it's hard.
Well, then on that road trip, we had the fiddler song.
Yes, do it.
If I were a rich man.
Do it.
If I were a rich man. All day long I'd be bum. If I were a wealthy man, I wouldn't have to work hard.
I wouldn't have
to work hard.
Yes. Classic.
Oh God.
That was awesome.
I've been thinking about Barenboim because, well, some of my viewers, usually my closest friends who know just how to hurt me, will occasionally make little sniggering remarks about the faces I make when I play. Seriously, the faces are a part of it. There is, of course, a guy who makes a freaking killing on YouTube playing the piano with this completely expressionless, unblinking face. He just stares at the camera. I'll put a link up. He's a great pianist too, but that's his hook. The blank, glaring at the camera face. Check him out. I mean, it's hilarious and totally working. Millions of views. Yeah, so performance faces. People don't usually consider that they're rehearsed too. I mean, after a while it becomes second nature and you just do it. Furrowed brow for this passage, divine agony for that passage, and so forth and so on. And this is the reason I've got Barenboim on the brain. It's because, well, dude gives great performance face. But there's one particular face of his that's my absolute favorite of all time. It's the one he trots out, usually in slow movements, in moments of maximum musical profoundness, where he will look up from the keyboard and gaze off into the middle distance between the strings and the piano lid. Yeah, sometimes the lazy eye manifests. Hey, it adds too. But basically the magic of this face is that you see the focus leave his eyes, and it's as if you're witnessing the very moment his soul is being drawn from his body into eternity. And he places it perfectly every time. Anyway, I love this performance face so much. Let's call it the soul leaving the body face. I love this face so much that I've decided it needs to be added to my arsenal. For my next video, I picked a piece that has a bunch of possible moments to use it, and I'm even gonna memorize it, despite my complaints last time, so the music desk doesn't block the shot. Subscribe, damn it, and watch until the end. That's how this works. Thanks.